All right, today we're diving into a really fascinating study about a device that comes with some, let's say, extraordinary claims. We're going to walk through the source material to figure out exactly what was tested, how they tested it, and the pretty remarkable results they reported. So let's just jump right in with the big question the researchers wanted to answer. Can a simple box change your blood from 8 kilometers away? I mean, it honestly sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But believe it or not, a research institute was actually commissioned to look into this exact possibility. And here it is. This is the device at the center of it all. The study just calls it the test object, but its makers call it the Leela Infinity Bloc, and they claim it's a quantum energy generator. So let's see what that's all about. Okay, so what is this thing supposed to do? I mean, what are the claims here? The study documents lay out a pretty detailed description from the company, Leela Quantum Tech, and the list of what they say it can do, it's pretty extensive. The way the source material puts it is, it generates a concentrated quantum space. It's supposedly not bound by Earth's magnetic fields, so it can radiate energy out in all directions. They even describe it as a quantum sun that creates this huge field of influence all around it. And the list of what it can supposedly do, it's pretty wild. They say it can harmonize electromagnetic fields from stuff like your Wi-Fi and 5G. It can neutralize bad frequencies in water. You can even stick stuff inside it like a tennis racket or a bottle of water, and it'll charge them with quantum energy. It's even claimed it can copy and transfer frequencies between objects. Okay, so you hear all these incredible claims, and the next logical question is, right, where's the proof? And that's where this European Research Institute comes in. They were brought on to see if any of these effects could actually be measured scientifically. So the main tool they use to check this stuff out is something called dark field microscopy. And it's actually pretty cool. It lets researchers look at a fresh drop of your blood while it's still alive and watch the cells in real time. They can see what shape they're in, how they're moving, and if they're all sticking together or flowing nice and freely. This all boils down to one huge question. Could this box actually change someone's blood from miles away without ever touching them? Could it remotely fix a blood situation that might not be so great for a person's health? So how on earth did they set up an experiment to test that? Let's get into the design. The paper says it uses some pretty modern quantum physical ideas, which, they claim, sets a whole new standard for this kind of research. They got together 13 volunteers, a mix of people, different ages, genders, and health levels. And here's the key part. The source says the subjects had no idea what the experiment was really about or when they were being exposed to the device. They just knew they were getting their blood tested a couple of times. They set it up as a double-blind study, the gold standard in research, where nobody involved knows who's getting what. Now, how did they supposedly create this long-distance effect? The paper says they used quantum entanglement. It's a concept from quantum physics where basically two things get linked, and what happens to one instantly affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. In this case, a photograph was supposedly the link. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. Here's how they did it step by step. First, they took a before blood sample to get a baseline. Then, they snapped a photo of the person. An independent driver then took that photo 8 kilometers away and put it inside the Infinity Bloc for just 15 minutes. Right after that, they took the after blood sample. The only thing connecting the person and the box was that photo. So let's just recap the wild parameters here. We're talking 8 kilometers. That's about 5 miles away. The exposure was just 15 minutes. And they did this with 13 different people. Pretty crazy setup. All right, the moment of truth. What did they actually see when they looked at the blood under the microscope? The paper gives us a really detailed look at the results for a few subjects, but we're going to zoom in on one of them to see the reported changes. So the paper zooms in on one person in particular, called Subject P7. He's a male pensioner, and he told them he was feeling pretty tired, not super energetic, and under a whole lot of stress. They took his blood sample to get that before picture. So they look at his first blood sample, and right away they see problems. The report uses these technical terms, but gel roll formation, sometimes called money roll, is just when your red blood cells stack up like coins. Agglutination just means they're all clumping together. Neither of those is good. It suggests poor circulation. So here's the million-dollar question. What happened after his photo sat in that box 5 miles away for just 15 minutes? Did anything actually change in his live blood sample? And the results they reported, honestly, they're pretty staggering.
That clumping and stacking? The study says it was, and I quote, completely abolished. The stiffness of the cells just dissolved. His blood flow went from being restricted to very dynamic, and his red blood cells became very active. It's a total 180.
Okay, so you see this massive change. How did the actual researchers explain what happened? Let's dig into their conclusion. In the end, the study's authors were clear. They concluded that yes, the experiment showed that the device has a clear harmonizing effect on human blood. They said that all the disturbances and blockages they saw in the subject's blood were basically neutralized. They basically said that all those unhealthy things they saw before, the clumping, the stacking, were replaced by a healthy, free-flowing state, and they chalk it all up to quantum entanglement, with the photograph acting as the bridge between the person and the box. So when you boil it all down, this whole study makes a really bold claim, right? That information and intention, something, can be sent over a long distance and create a real physical change in our bodies. And it really just leaves you with this massive question. If that's even remotely possible, what does it tell us about how our reality actually works?